Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord, and welcome to the first of many discussions on the game modes of Shiny Colors. Today we'll be looking at the newest current game mode, GRAD, the Grand Repute Audition, what it means for you as a player, and what it provides as an opportunity to build strong idols. The main gist of the game mode is similar to the others. You spend 8 weeks across 4 separate seasons, so 32 weeks in total, building up the strongest idol you can, with 2 major auditions at the end of the 2nd season and the 4th season. This mode also has its own unique scenario for every single idol that is available for it. Not every idol currently is available for the mode, so please consider that as you start. The only non-available units are from Straylight and Nocchill, so you'll have to wait a little bit in order to learn more about them in this unique story. Going into the mode, it's important to recognize that there is a new mechanic when it comes to selecting your supports. Below each of the portraits, you can see that there is a new token. These are referred to as insight tokens, and there is 1 insight token per attribute, so vocal, dance, visual, and mental. These insight tokens are actually tied to the idol themselves, not necessarily to the card. So all Hiyori cards are visual, all Meguru are dance, all Kogane are mental, so on and so forth. So you'll be able to scan through this list relatively quickly in order to see which units have the insight token you're specifically looking for. As it comes to how many you should bring, when you consider TFD, it's ideal to bring at least 1 of each attribute, and then a secondary for an attribute you'd like to focus on. Unlike TFD, you do not earn additional insight tokens from other idols, and you can't call other idols in, so you have to work with what you bring. As for what types of supports are highly recommended, any cards that have any form of stamina mastery, such as stamina support, or a room mastery that increases your stamina or decreases the stamina cost, are highly appreciated, as you'll be wanting to take lessons or small jobs as often as possible to build up insight tokens. You spend these insight tokens to either gain stats or gain unique abilities exclusive to GRAD. Another type of ability that's appreciated from supports is just standard room masteries. Anything that increases the amount of stats you're earning will be highly appreciated, and cards that help you build much quicker will end up yielding a much stronger idol overall. Lastly, and probably the most important, are the SP masteries. SP masteries are important because GRAD is not particularly generous when it comes to generating SP. So you'll still want to earn your abilities and your passives, which means you'll need the SP to do so. So consider any and all support masteries for SP as high priority, stamina as second, and then stats as third. For the sake of the mode, we will be selecting Mono as our main idol, and we'll be selecting supports to help build a strong Mono. It's important to consider the level of your supports as well, as the higher level they are, the more likely it will be to earn a special bonus with your insight tokens, so consider that as you build your unit. After you've selected your supports, it's time to begin the run. Just like all the other game modes, you're allowed to bring items in order to increase the likelihood of clearing the event. As always, if you are not using a patch or are not familiar with the language, bringing the notebook is highly ideal, as it'll show you all the correct answers and make the mode much more consistent for you personally. Other items that are useful include the healing tarts in order to continue running, the towels or t-shirts, or even the keychains to increase idols bond, which will become more important later on, and other items maybe such as the lesson tickets in order to shuffle rooms will be appreciated, or anything that you feel will be most important. As mentioned before, GRAD has its own story mode for each of the idols that are available, so if you'd like to learn more about your idols, this mode is ideal. But before we get started, we have to discuss the unique mechanic of GRAD, which are the blocks. You have A block, B block, C block, and D block. Each of these blocks has their own innate bonus. The A block increases the vocal room's level by 3. The B block increases the dance room by 3. The C block increases the visual room by 3. And the D block increases all of the jobs, so the radio show, the talk show, and the photo shoot, by 2. Ideally, if you are just starting out, I would recommend staying in one block in particular and balancing out the stats as much as you can. If you are looking to build an idol that is stronger for Grade Fest, then I highly recommend starting in the D block, focusing on SP and mental first, then working on your primary stats as you see fit. For the sake of this run, we will be starting in the A block. You'll be given a quick message to let you know if you're picking the correct block, and then we go in. Up along the top, you can see there are empty token slots, which are filled up by the tokens that you earn from the units themselves. So Natsuha with a mental token, and Amana with a visual token. And as you can see, the vocal room has been bumped up immediately to level 4, despite it only being the first week of Season 1, compared to a level 1 dance room and a level 1 visual room. Balancing out the insight tokens will be important, as it plays into one of the major mechanics of the mode. And that would be this folder over here. In this folder, you can see that there are different abilities that have different effects, and these are all listed on the wiki if you'd like to learn more about them. They all have their own cost requirements, such as the vocal position requiring 4 vocal insight tokens, and an upgraded version of the vocal insight which requires the previous, and then an additional 4 vocal, 1 visual, and 1 dance insight token. Balancing each of these out will be important, so it is worth keeping an eye on which supports you bring along, and making sure to balance it out depending on the type of unit you're trying to make. Some of these buffs are incredibly powerful, and they are what make this mode so good for building for Grade Fest currently. If you are looking to build a strong unit, GRAD is the way to go currently. As you can see down here, there's also a 5th token, which is the SSR token. These are only obtainable from SSR supports, and they act as sort of a wild card. We also have available the PR activities. These activities can be used to increase your stats exponentially, and also increase the fan excitement for the region you're currently working in. Each of these jobs has their own benefits to specific tokens, and as you can see, in the case of, say, the visual room, you increase much higher if you use visual tokens, mental tokens, and SSR tokens, as each of them correspond to a respective stat. This increases your fan count, which isn't necessarily important, but it also functions as a means to cash out any tokens that you may or may not want to be hanging on to, as you may find yourself in a situation where you have too many tokens to use and no abilities to use them on, due to either poor idle locations or just poor planning. So you can use the PR activities as sort of a failsafe for that, if you are focusing on building for Fest. Otherwise, I would highly recommend, if you are just going through the game mode for the first time, to focus on one particular stat and work on the room that works best for you. Building up tokens and cashing them out, which does force you to spend all tokens in order to perform PR activities, does mean you have to start from a clean slate after you work from a PR activity. Every time you finish an activity, you increase the fans' excitement. Increasing the excitement from a region will improve your performance in the 2 major auditions, and can be incredibly useful if you are just looking to have a much easier time in the mode itself, as certain levels of fan excitement will increase your stats or give you more defensive abilities, so on and so forth. So consider that balance while also building up a strong idol, as you will still need to be earning SP in order to pick up your skills as per usual. Otherwise, you can continue through the mode as normal and pick up the abilities that you need. It's important to consider which supports end up in which rooms, so always keep an eye out to see what the overall distribution is, and make the most of it as you can. One thing that's important to note is that as your characters increase in level, you have the opportunity to earn double tokens or the SSR tokens as mentioned before. As you spend your insight tokens, you'll be able to increase your abilities permanently, and these carry over across all of the idols that you build in GRAD, so stacking them up can prove to be very, very useful. Once you spend the tokens, they are gone, and you retain any tokens that weren't used for the buff itself. And as you can see, in this case, we've now unlocked the next level of it, which requires 1 of each attribute and 2 SSR tokens. As mentioned before, I highly recommend that you bring any supports that you feel will make the run easier. Any cards that have any form of SP mastery, or any sort of ability to improve your stamina are highly recommended, as you'll want to be running constantly. It's also important to note that the 2 auditions you perform in at the end of Season 2 and Season 4 have their own unique benefits of winning and losing, and losing in the audition in Season 2 will put you in a different bracket for Season 4. It's very interesting and it's definitely worth looking into. Depending on how you do in the auditions, whether you win or lose, you'll actually receive different buffs depending, and these are also listed on the wiki. So in some cases, it might actually be worth it to win or lose a specific run in order to receive a specific benefit. One important thing to note in GRAD, unlike TFD, is that even if you fail a lesson or job, you still earn insight tokens. You just would lose the stats as per usual. So this might encourage you to take a more risky approach in order to earn the insight tokens you need. Another important thing to note is specifically selecting certain regions depending on which season it is. You might want to pick whichever stat is strongest for you during Season 2 and Season 4. Whichever block ends up having the highest overall satisfaction will determine the overall trend for Season 2 and Season 4. It is also worth noting, I believe, that if you do not end up using the PR at all, so if it's always at 0% regardless of the block, it will determine it based off of which block you are currently in. As at least that has been the case. If that is indeed incorrect, then feel free to let us know in the comments. And as always, be very careful about gaining as much stats as you can before the auditions in Season 2 and Season 4. These auditions are considered to be much harder than the auditions in TFD and Wing, depending, so you might find yourself in a bit of trouble if you don't have the appropriate stats, especially mental, to survive the overall audition. With that all being said, that covers more or less everything you need to know about GRAD. Again, if you are focusing on building for Gradefest and are trying to be more of a competitive player, GRAD is the more ideal mode to work with, as the strengths that you earn from GRAD far outweigh the strengths that you earn from TFD or Wing, due to the nature of the abilities from GRAD itself. So consider that as a best case scenario. So if you have the supports to consider this mode, I would definitely look into it if I were you. Otherwise, if you just want to learn more about the idols that are available in GRAD, as all of their stories are relatively unique and delve more into them as characters, it's definitely worth checking out as well. With that all being said, if you have any other questions about GRAD, we'll be welcome to answer any of those in the comment section below. And again, I highly recommend that you check out the wiki, as it is fairly fleshed out and may even cover some details that you might not have considered as you watch this video. With that all being said, my name is Cho. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.